Good evening, I'm Kevin Schuker and this is Health Box. Tonight we're coming to you again from Bonobo's restaurant, and I'm here with Donna Peroni from Accent on Wellness as part of our ongoing lecture series here at the restaurant. So Donna, who do we have here this evening?
We have Dr. Joel Furman. He's a medical doctor, and he specializes in preventing and reversing disease using natural and holistic methods. And of course, he's an author. He's written 3 books. His latest is Eat to Live, which is what he's going to be discussing tonight, which is the greatest diet ever. He also has...
yeah, I have one here. We have Fasting and Eating for Health, which is another book by Joel Furman. And he has a third one, Cholesterol Protection for Life. So he's quite an accomplished author, and we're really looking forward to tonight's lecture. So let's all sit back and enjoy Dr. Joel Furman.
So this slide demonstrates, it says a key point. It says to avoid overeating on high-calorie food, fill up on nutrient-rich food. Because most Americans are addicted to their rich diet. And their addiction causes them to continue to overeat when they're not hungry. When you eat healthy and your brain gets the feedback signals from the digestive tract that your nutrient needs are met, you don't have perverted cravings, you don't want to eat as much food, and you don't feel like eating all the time. You automatically want to eat less calories, and you will reach your ideal weight because you took in the ideal amount of nutrients into your system. Now look, most Americans never felt hunger in their whole life. They eat not because they're hungry, they eat because they feel addiction, addictive withdrawal from their rich diet. Does anybody here know what the word addiction means? Nobody? I guess I'll have to tell you then. Addiction means that when you stop doing something that's toxic, you get discomfort. And humans want to avoid discomfort, so they have a tendency to want to continue to do what they're used to doing. They want to continue their toxic habits. When you stop drinking coffee, you get a headache, so you don't stop. When you stop smoking cigarettes, you feel sick, so you don't want to stop, right? Only toxic substances create addictive withdrawal symptoms because it's stopping the toxins that allows the body to now remove and detoxify and repair the damage that was caused by the toxic substance. Repair and rejuvenation can cause discomfort. You see, most people don't associate discomfort or symptoms with getting well. They think it means getting sick. But the truth is that feeling ill is getting better, and feeling better is getting sicker. Let me say that again. Let me explain a little more. If you go into a restaurant and you're poisoned with food poisoning, and you start getting diarrhea and vomiting when you leave, that's good, right? It's better to wash away the dangerous bacteria out of your body. If you're a fireman and you walk into a burning building, and you start coughing, your eyes tear, that's beneficial, isn't it? Because you're washing away the smoke, you're coughing it up so it doesn't settle into your lung. If you get a fever with a flu or with a pneumonia, and you start coughing, you're bringing the mucus out. The fever helps demarginate the white blood cells. It activates them to fight the illness. It makes the brain secrete interferon. It increases the body's defenses against microbes. The point is that animals who are genetically defective, they can't create a fever. They die at a young age when they get an infection. You see, the body accelerates its normal processes to deal with toxins. If you look up the word inflammation in a medical textbook, the textbook would explain that the inflammatory process serves to dilute, wall off, and attempt to remove the noxious agent. It tries to restore the pristine nature to normal tissue. Symptoms are our friend. Now, when you stop eating broccoli or you stop eating parsley, you don't feel symptoms because they're not toxic. You feel nothing. Healthy substances doesn't make us feel better. When you take in broccoli and romaine lettuce, you don't feel a surge of energy. You don't feel anything. Healthy substances do not make you feel better. If I gave you something to take this stuff from the health food store. It's called goto juice, or it's called ephedra, or it's called Gouda Cola. It'll make you feel better. If you buy this substance and it makes you feel better, it takes away your headache, makes you not need as much sleep, gives you more energy, wake up with a spring in your step, then you know that substance is toxic. Because only toxic substances can make your heartbeat faster, make your heartbeat slower, make you feel better, make you need more sleep, make you need less sleep, make you cough, make you stop coughing, make you urinate more, make you urinate less. In other words, I can give you natural substances, herbal products, that can make your heartbeat slower or faster, that can take away your pain, that can give you energy. But the toxicity of the substance you're using is proportional to its efficacy. That means the strength, the power it has to act, is proportional to its toxicity. The more power it has to act to do something to you, the more dangerous it is for you to use it, actually. You don't get something for nothing. But if you start taking these toxic substances into your body, and you stop them, then you're going to feel weak. Then you're going to feel headachy. Then you're going to feel the shakes. Then you're going to feel mentally confused and tired. But that's beneficial that you felt ill, because you feel ill when the body is trying to remove the substances from the cells and it mobilizes it into the bloodstream, and the heart beats faster, and you're trying to excrete the toxic substance, right? So if I give you a substance that an herbalist would call a kidney strengthener, right? It doesn't work by strengthening the kidney. There's no way you can strengthen the kidney, by the way. There's no way you can make the liver be stronger at detoxifying. There's no such thing. This is all nonsense. I can give you a laxative to make you have a bowel movement, but that's not detoxifying you. Those are those herbal and bowel cleansers. They don't cleanse you any more than washing your mouth out with soap would cleanse you. The toxins are stored in your fat supply, in your cells. You can't just wash the digestive tract and cause some bowel movement and expect to be clean. So this kidney strengthener, it works like a medicine, it's called a diuretic. The diuretic or the kidney strengthener works in the same way. They interfere or they block the renal tubule cells that reclaim fluid. See, the way the kidney works is that the body puts all the liquid and all the toxins and all the stuff it wants to get rid of into the kidney. And the body then sucks back the stuff it needs, leaving in the kidney the stuff it wants to excrete. And if we poison the renal tubule cells from reclaiming fluid and substances we need, we will urinate more. So making us urinate more isn't strengthening the kidney. That's working by interfering or poisoning the kidney. You got that? We're not strengthening the kidney to make you urinate more. There's no, I guess the point I'm making is there's no magic. It's not, health is not from magic, doesn't come from magical substances. You have to earn your good health. Health comes, we want to be healthy enough so we don't need medicinal substances to do stuff to us. Sure, medications could be needed at times, and even herbal products can be useful at times. But we pay a price for their use. A healthy person wouldn't have to really use those things. Better off without them, right? So now let's get back to this feeling of, let's talk about the detoxification or withdrawal again. Because the American diet is so toxic, it's so dangerous, that when people stop eating it, even for an hour or two, they start to feel sick. They start to withdraw from their rich diet. When the stomach empties of materials and the small intestines has finished its work the body's not so busy working, and it can utilize its energies to start cleansing. And will start detoxifying more effectively when the body is not busy digesting a meal. That's when people start to feel shaky, headachy, stomach cramping, esophageal spasm. They start to feel there's little flip-flops in their stomach, and they start to feel sick, and they call that hunger. They think they're hungry and they eat again. They're not really hungry. True hunger is a mouth and throat sensation felt between here and here. When you're really hungry, you don't feel pain. When you're really healthy, you don't feel headaches when you don't eat. You don't feel your stomach fluttering and cramping and bouncing around, and you don't feel weak or tired, and you don't feel uncomfortable when you don't eat food. You can go for longer periods of time without eating. See, built in, there's a mechanism built in already into all your bodies that tells you exactly the amount of food you need to eat to maintain your weight at the perfect weight. So let's use myself as an example. I weigh about 150 pounds. Now, how come my weight hasn't fluctuated a pound or two up or down in 30 years? Because I can go skiing for 4 days and be on the slopes all day long and burn 4,000 calories a day. How does my body know to eat 4,000 calories? Or I can be seeing patients in my office for 4 days straight and not do any activity and only need 1,800 calories. How'd I know to eat less? I knew within 20-25 calories a day the exact amount of food my body needed to maintain my weight at the same exact weight. Because I'm not going through detoxification, I'm not withdrawing or going through addictive withdrawal symptoms from a rich diet. That means after a meal, my body stops digesting food, and there's no food coming in, and the digestive tract is not working, I don't feel sick. I can feed off that glycogen reserve in the liver that can last for 4 to 6 hours and keep that blood glucose perfectly flat. And when the glycogen reserve in the liver starts to dip a little bit, then a person would start to get glucose from muscle tissue. That process is called gluconeogenesis. You don't have to write that down. Gluconeogenesis, gluco means glucose, and neo means to make new, and genesis means to make, and neo means new. It means to make new glucose. You will break down muscle tissue to make glucose. But the body's too smart. It doesn't want you to waste muscle tissue. It wants you to keep its weight exactly at your perfect weight for your whole life. The longest lived people maintain their weight steadily through their whole life at their perfect weight. So before you would go into gluconeogenesis, hunger would begin before the glucose curve, before amino acids would start to break down. And you would get hunger, which would manifest itself as a mouth and throat sensation felt predominantly in your neck. And by satisfying your real hunger, you're put in touch with the exact amount of calories you need to maintain yourself at your perfect weight. When you're eating because of your addictive withdrawal symptoms, you're out of touch with the amount of calories you need, and now you have to diet to lose weight. You have to weigh and measure foods and carry on a calculator and a scale, and you have to try to starve yourself, and it doesn't work. 95% of people who are on those calorie counting, Weight Watchers and other types of point systems and diet systems trying to eat less food gain their weight back. It's like trying to breathe less oxygen for a while. After a while, you just can't take it anymore, and you're going to be, and your food cravings, because you're so nutritionally deficient, you're going to be craving too much food, and you get perverted food cravings. You even want sweets, and you want fat, you want different foods that aren't healthy for you. You see, but when you wait to eat until your hunger comes real, then hunger is a natural body process which tremendously magnifies taste and tremendously magnifies the ability of your tongue to enjoy eating. So here's what I'm saying, is that when you eat a lot of healthy food, number one, you could eat tremendous volumes of food, because natural foods like fruits and vegetables and beans and nuts are very low in calories. In other words, green vegetables are less than 100 calories per pound. Eggplants, mushrooms, tomatoes, peppers, cauliflower, beans, fresh fruits are all less than 250 calories a pound. The human stomach only holds a liter of food. You can't put that many calories in at one time. When you're eating a diet predominating in natural foods, it becomes impossible, almost impossible, to become overweight. Any person significantly overweight, you know, has to have some degree of food addiction. Because it's very difficult to be overweight. You had to work hard to gain that. It only takes these two things. Eat a diet that's mostly natural foods, right? And eat when you're really hungry. Eat as much food as you want to eat, as much food as your body demands, and people lose weight radically. This theory, my Eat to Live book has been out for a year and a half now, and Cornell University and the University of Southern California did a study on 63 patients who followed the plan for 2 years. There were a little more than that who went into the program, but 63 continued to follow it for a full 2 years. And they found that the average patient lost over 53 pounds, which was more weight loss than any diet ever studied in medical history. So there's one study on Eat to Live showing people lost more weight than any study in human history. And then there's a study in the medical journal Metabolism that showed that it dropped cholesterol levels about 33% in LDL cholesterol, which was more cholesterol dropping than the drug group. And people use drugs, which average of 26%. See, a vegetarian diet only dropped the cholesterol levels about 16%. And it raised triglycerides and had an unfavorable effect on the LDL-HDL ratio. That's why, for example, in Dr. Ornish's studies, the average amount of reversal people got who followed his vegetarian diet was about 4% a year. And in the medical journal Angiology, people following what I call this vegetable-based approach, not a grain-based approach, reversed their heart disease by 40% a year, not 4% a year. See, the most popular diet out there today is called a grain-based diet. Most Americans derive most of their calories from flour and sugar. And then there are also diets that are called meat-based or animal product-based, like Atkins, Zone, South Beach, where the majority of calories consumed are from animal products. The diet style I'm talking about, and I talk about in my book Eat to Live, is called a vegetable-based diet, because the base of the pyramid are vegetables, right? It makes sense to put at the base of the pyramid the foods that have the highest nutrient density and the best association with both heart attack and cancer, right? The best association with reduction in heart attack and cancer. Because these are the foods that contain the large quantity of all these anti-cancer substances, and we've discovered thousands of them already present in natural foods, and some of them are very sensitive to food processing. When you get a large amount of phytochemicals, and we need a lot of phytochemicals, because we're a primate. All primates live in the woods and eat predominantly a vegetable-based diet. They eat a diet very rich in green vegetables, which are high in phytochemicals. All primates have the opposing thumb. They keep their young for a long time. They have a big section of the ability to taste sweet in the front of their tongue. They can see color. Why do you think we can see color and taste sweet? We're designed to eat fresh fruit, right? Not because we're designed to be eating ring-dings and Hershey chocolate bars. But this slide is just there to remind you and me that phytochemicals have powerful effects at preventing cancer. Even when a person has cancer, or even when cells are in the precancerous or dysplastic stage, phytochemicals can come in through cellular artillery and remove and repair DNA crosslinks and remove toxins from the cells. Your body is always trying to work exceedingly hard on your own behalf to restore itself to normalcy if given half a chance. I took 12 women who had carcinoma in situ of the cervix and put them on a high phytochemical diet with the addition of blended salads and green juices and a few supplements, and 11 out of 12 women reversed their carcinoma in situ, reduced their cervical cancer in a period of 6 months. Some cancers are the cause of cancer, and even people who get the early stages of some cancers have the best chance by changing their diet to restore their ability of cells to restore normalcy. Some cancers are very unpredictable and bizarre and don't get predictable response. I have had some patients who've had great results with certain cancers, but that doesn't mean it responds predictably to nutritional intervention, but it's still worth a shot. Certain cancers do respond more predictably, like cervical cancer, like uterine cancer. Lutein and lycopene and zeaxanthin are examples of carotenoids and phytochemicals found in natural foods. They're very rich. Even 1 cup of cooked greens has about 25,000 micrograms of just this one phytochemical, and it has thousands of others. If you took vitamin pills to get that, you'd have to take the whole bottle, and even then you wouldn't get the full symphony that's in a natural plant food. You see, a lot of these phytochemicals are made more absorbable when the food is cooked over if the food was eaten raw. Let me say that one more time. If you eat a salad, a nice green salad of raw vegetables, you will digest about 15% of the nutrients there. About 85% of those nutrients in that salad would pass through your stool and go right into the toilet bowl. Because the nutrients in plant foods are packaged in little cellular packages called plant cells. And humans don't secrete the enzyme uricase to break down the cell wall. So unless you chewed through that cell wall, you're not going to absorb most of the food value in that cell. You got that? That's why I recommend for a lot of patients, especially with medical problems, have a blended salad. They put their salad in a Vitamix or a blender with a piece of banana, with an avocado, with some apricots, with some oranges and strawberries. They make this delicious salad smoothie or salad drink. They blend it down because when you use a Vitamix or a blender to cream the salad, you increase the absorption from 15% to 98%. You absorb almost everything in there. Some nutrients are definitely lost in cooking, but the majority of phytochemicals are made more absorbable by cooking. For example, you don't absorb much ferulic acid from corn, but if you eat cooked corn, it's made into a soup in some way, then you could absorb huge quantities of ferulic acid, which is a very powerful anti-cancer phytochemical. By putting green vegetables like kale and Swiss chard, and especially the cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, chard, cabbage, kale, you could put them and make them into a soup with zucchini and mushrooms and beans. That can dramatically increase the ability of the body to absorb phytochemicals. The best diet is a vegetable-based diet rich in green vegetables. And we utilize both raw vegetables and cooked vegetables to get the best assortment and best penetration of these nutrients to make them most fully absorbable by the body. By the way, cooking does cause cancer because carbohydrate cooked at high heat can form acrylamides, and acrylamides is a very potent cancer-causing compound. So when you cook a potato in the oven and you cause the browning of the potato, or you cook French fries in oil or grease and you brown the French fries, that browning is significant for the presence of acrylamides. It's called the Maillard reaction, where we darken or brown foods, which is definitely harmful to our health. When we study the acrylamide amounts present in Cheerios and cornflakes and pretzels and things like that, we find them in very high levels. So it's not only that the processed carbohydrates, like the crusts of bagels, the crusts of breads, and puffed cereals baked and shot out of cannons, like puff wheat and puff rice and Oreos and Cheerios, those foods are not healthful foods. They're low in nutrients, right? They're empty calories. And I'm teaching you guys that empty calories are dangerous. They shorten our lifespan. But they're worse than just being empty calories. They're full of salt, they're full of food additives, and they're also rich in natural occurring acrylamides, which are cancer-causing agents. So I support a diet style where we try to avoid foods that are processed and baked and otherwise cooked in a harmful fashion. That doesn't mean that steaming a vegetable or making a vegetable soup causes any of those damages, because though it's water cooking, when you put a food in a pressure cooker or you make a soup on a low flame or you steam a vegetable, you do not form any dangerous compounds. And so you get certain nutrients that we do lose when you heat a food. And that's why we want a large percentage of raw food in our diet. But other important phytochemical compounds are made more absorbable and more easily for the body to assimilate when we eat some degree of cooked foods in our diet. Did you follow that? You see, if you were shipwrecked on Gilligan's Island and you were eating natural foods that nature or God made, it would be very difficult to become overweight, because the toxic modern world, or the toxic diet present in the modern world, we concentrate the calories, we concentrate the sugar, we concentrate the fat. We enable the human stomach to hold more calories at one time because we put oil on our food, we melt cheese over it, we eat animal products, which are a concentrated source of calories, we eat flour products, we salt it. In other words, it's very hard to become overweight eating natural foods. And clearly, when we eat food that has more concentrated calories, like oil and butter and flour, we can get more pleasure, so we think. You see, pleasure in eating has to do with a sensation of taste, mostly in your mouth and tongue. And I'm all for pleasure. If you're eating natural foods, you're going to enjoy what you eat. But but why not go after even more eating pleasure? Salt the food, put more sugar on it, put oil over it, fry it. You can get more pleasure out of it. That's great. But what happens over time is the more you hyperstimulate your taste sensations with concentrated sources of calories and concentrated sources of salt, and you lose the ability, your body becomes tolerant to those things, and you weaken and deaden your taste. So now when you go back to eating a pear or a piece of avocado or a pepper, it no longer has any flavor. Now you need the highly stimulating amount of salt. You need all the extra sugar. You need to put fat all over your food. In other words, the more you go after pleasure, the more you weaken and build up tolerance to simple pleasures of eating natural food. When you eat and make your recipes from natural foods, you keep your sense of taste fully heightened. And